Hello, good morning. Welcome to my podcast. My name is Taz Hussain. I am an accounting tutor. Today I'm going to go through the very basics of double entry bookkeeping. I'll try to keep it short and brief, so hopefully you'll find this useful and very important for anybody who's starting on any kind of accounting or bookkeeping course. Okay, the first thing that you need to understand is this concept of debit and credit in order to do any kind of double entry bookkeeping. And the best way to remember, and the best way I think is to remember, is to remember the acronym DEEP SIL. So DEEP for any increases in DEEP would mean equals debit. Any increases in SIL would equals credit. So what is DEEP and what is SIL? So the D stands for any drawings that you might have. So this is cash being taken out of the business for personal use. Any expenses, so this is your daily expenses, your electric, gas bill, and water rates, rent, and so on. Assets, anything that the business owns, so that could be long-term or short-term assets. And purchases of any stock for resale. So that's generally your stock that you purchased. In terms of the self, the C represents the capital. That's the money that you've invested into the business. Income, which is your sales and any other additional income you might get. And also L is for liabilities. So this is the liabilities that you have in terms of what you actually owe to other people, predominantly your creditors and the bank. So before you understand the concept of double entry bookkeeping, you need to really revise these terms and understand what these terms mean before you can even attempt double entry bookkeeping. So if there's an increase in, for example, purchases, it would go on the debit side. Okay. If there's an increase in liabilities, it would go on the credit side. It goes without saying, if there's a decrease of any of DEEP or so, the opposite transaction would happen. Okay. So if there was a decrease, so for example, if there's a decrease in SIL, you would see it here. And if there's a decrease of DEEP, you would see that here as well on the credit and debit side. So you got to remember the increase and the decreases have obviously reverse effects. So you really need to understand that before you do any kind of double entry bookkeeping. Okay, so let's have a look at this transaction here. So how will we go about dealing with this? So the transaction says James Limited sold goods for £200 in cash. So James made a sale of £200 in cash. The first thing you have to remember that there's always a debit and there's always a credit entry to this. All transactions require a debit and credit entry. So we have to open up two accounts because there has to be two separate entries to get the basic concept of double entry bookkeeping. So we will use our acronym DEEP SIL to work out exactly what accounts we need and what side either debit or credit is going to go. So first we realize it's sold goods. Okay, so that tells us it's a sale that we've made. Okay, so in this account, now would you put it on the credit entry or would you put it as a debit entry? We know that sale is an income. Okay, so if there's an increase in sale, okay, if we refer back to our previous slide, it would be a credit entry of £200. Okay, the second account, because we made the sale in cash, we would hope after open a cash account or a bank account. Okay, again, you would have to review deep sell. Okay, cash is also an asset, also known as an asset account. Okay, something that we own, something that is quite liquid. Okay, so an asset account. Now again, if there's an increase in deep, which there is in this case, it would go on the debit side. It would have to go on the debit side anyway, because I said to you at the start that there has to be a debit entry and a credit entry for every transaction that we do. So we've done both of them transactions on, so both of them entries, the credit sales, debit to cash, and that transaction has now been dealt with. So that's the basic concept of double entry bookkeeping. So I think if you understand deep sell and understand the meaning of that, hopefully that's going to help a lot in terms of the initial double entry bookkeeping exercises you might come to do. I hope this video has been helpful. Please give me your feedback if it has been, and I hope to post some more videos going through the more difficult concepts of accounting as well. Thank you.